Hey everybody, Drew here with Smokecraft Barbecue. Today I'm going to teach you how to make competition style baby back ribs. So today for our competition baby back ribs, we're going to be cooking with some B&B Hickory Lump Charcoal. I like using the B&B Hickory Lump on all my competition foods. I really like the flavor it puts out there, and we know that it's hickory in the bag. Charcoal fell out. There we go. So today I'm in the backyard and we're going to cook some competition style baby back ribs. Now baby back ribs are not what I usually cook for competition, because I usually cook in KCBS or Kansas City barbecue style events where spare ribs and St. Louis cut spare ribs reign supreme. But today we're going to teach you guys how to do baby back ribs, which are great in MBN or Memphis Barbecue Network style events. This includes Memphis in May, which is one of the biggest world championships out there. There's some key differences between cooking a St. Louis or spare rib and cooking a baby back rib. So today we want to go through them, and we're going to start off today by having a really great high quality piece of meat. We're using Prairie Fresh USA Prime baby back ribs today, and you can just see, looking at these baby backs, they have got some great intermuscular marbling. And one of the biggest challenges you face with baby backs is there's not as much intermuscular marbling to begin with. This is why we use St. Louis style or spare ribs in KCBS competitions, because we believe we can get them more tender. So our challenge today is going to be getting these just as tender without drying them out and keeping that high moisture content in the ribs. So these are straight out of the pack. I've just taken these out of their packs. And I have two beautiful racks here. And taking a quick look at them, we're not going to have to do a whole lot of trimming. I mean, these things are beautiful. They are almost ready to cook right away, which I absolutely love. Now, you don't want to go digging out any kind of fat along here, because this is just the intermuscular marbling, and there's more meat right there. Same thing on this side here. But we are going to take off on the back side, just like we do on our spare ribs. We're going to take off the membrane. So I'm going to take a paper towel just because it makes it easier, and I'm going to squeeze my finger between the second and the third rib, and you can see this membrane right here. I'm going to grab that with a paper towel, get underneath it, and I'm just going to pull it away. All right. This opens up the back, exposes the meat, allows us to get the smoke in there. We are going to just take our thumb here, or you can take a spoon to kind of remove this just layer of fat that was sitting right underneath, because we don't want a judge to kind of bite into a big piece of fat that doesn't break down or cook off. So we're just going to take those off real quick. And that looks pretty good. And I'm not too worried about the very end here, because when I am cooking and turning in for competition, I'm looking at my ribs that are going to be somewhat in the middle. An ideal rack of ribs, I got nice straight bones, not angled bones, so I can just cut them really easily. And those look great. I really don't have to trim these at all. That's just amazing to me how perfect these are. Let me go ahead and flip this second rack over, and same thing. I'm just going to take a paper towel here. But find that membrane and just get in between that second and third bone, pull it back. Just pull it back and pull it across. There we go. All that meat's exposed. Now I'm just going to cut this little lip off here at the end. And unlike that other rack, I don't really have a lot of fat here that I just got to kind of move off with my fingers. This rack is pretty much ready to go. Take that little bit off right here, and that piece of meat just sticking out, so I'm just going to cut that right there. All right. Looks great. All right. So that's it. This one has a little lump right here just to help it air out and not create a cooking problem. I'm just going to round that out just a little bit, but these are really great and good to go. So we're going to go ahead and get these seasoned up right away, and I'm going to start seasoning them on my cutting board here, so I'm not putting any grooves or divots in my meat. And the challenge with these ribs is because the baby back They've got a curved bone. So we got to be very careful how we season these so we don't all of a sudden have a buildup of all of our seasoning and rub right in the middle of that arc. So we're going to use 3 rubs today, and because this is competition, I want this rub to immediately adhere to the meat, so I'm not going to use a binder. So we're going to start off with our Heath Riles Everyday Rub. This is a base salt, pepper, all-purpose rub, and we're just going to kind of go at it on a light once over. Just get that first round base flavor down on the ribs. And I just do it in a nice smooth motion, singular motion all the way across. Second layer I'm going to put on, I'm going to use my Smoking Guns Hot. Smoking Guns Hot is a barbecue staple. This has got a little bit of heat to it. I'm going to go very lightly with this. I don't want to blast anybody with it, but on the back side, you know, it's always good to have that little bit of extra something on their tongue when they try it. So we'll maybe go just a touch heavier on the back than we will the front. But try and get that nice even wrist shake all the way up and down. Just see a nice little layer there, not too much. You know, making sure it's there, but not overwhelming. Now, my primary rub I'm going to use today, I'm going to use Lambert's Sweet Rub O' Mine. Mark Lambert, some Sweet Swan O' Mine, makes this rub. He is a multiple world champion at Memphis in May. There's no better rub to go on pork when you're talking Memphis barbecue than this right here. This is a nice sweet rub, great on all pork, and I absolutely love it. So we're going to go a little heavier on this now. This is our final rub here. Want to get it in there. So we got our layers of flavor where we got that base salt, pepper flavor, the salt, pepper, just the initial seasoning. Then we got a little bit of heat, and we're finishing with some sweet. So those are our 3 rubs. And we're going to go ahead and let this sit. Now we got it on here. We're going to let it sit for about 30 minutes. We're going to let this rub soak into the meat. We want to see the meat beginning to sweat, and then we're going to go ahead, flip it over into the pan. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. It's been about 30 minutes on the competition baby back ribs here, and you can see, if you look at the ribs, that they're beginning to sweat, and we're getting that the rub is really beginning to absorb in on the back side here. So that says it's time to go ahead and flip them over. So we're going to go ahead and flip them over, and you know the rub is ready when none of the rub comes off when you pick it up. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to put them into our pan that we're going to ultimately cook them in. And I'm going to move that over here in a second here. And I'm going to put my fatter pieces to the outside as I put it in. Move this. All right. And we're going to just repeat the same exact process that we did before. Clean hand, dirty hand. So I got my Heath Riles Everyday Rub. And we're just going to put that on top first. Nice light layer on top. Just easy once and down. Okay, now I'm going to go on with my Smoking Guns Hot for my layer of heat. And again, light layer, especially on the top. Not trying to overwhelm anybody with heat. We're just trying to get just a little bit of something on there. Okay, great. And finally, my Lambert's Sweet Rub O' Mine to finish this off. And I'm going to go a little bit heavier on this one. This is that nice sweet flavor. It's going to come out great. Oh, yeah. Look at that. All right, so we're going to give these another 30 minutes, and then you're going to see the same reaction on the top side here with that, with the rub begin to soak in. Then we know we're ready to get into the smoke. It's been 30 minutes, and you can see how great our Prairie Fresh USA Prime baby back ribs look now that the rub is soaked in. They've got this beautiful red glow to them that's going to cook really, really nicely. So we're going to go ahead and throw them in the smoker at this point. We're cooking them. We're cooking our ribs at 275 degrees, and we're going to go ahead and put them in with a little bit of cherry wood. 2 pieces of cherry and a piece of pecan, cooking over B&B Hickory Lump Charcoal to get all that really great flavor. So let's go ahead, let's get them in the smoker. It's been an hour since we put our baby back ribs in our 270 Smoker KC model with some cherry wood. Now, after this first hour, we're gonna go ahead and spritz the ribs, and we're gonna use a little bit of spray butter. I'm using Can't Believe It's Not Butter today to spritz them, but let's go ahead and open it up. Let's take a look. Oh man. All right, well, the ribs themselves are looking great. You can see a little bit of the fat cap or the fat lines pulling apart here, but we got some good color, nothing too crazy. But we're just gonna do a light spritz of Can't Believe It's Not Butter just to keep them, keep the tops from drying out as they cook, because that's really important when we come down to slicing. So that's it. We're gonna go ahead and also rotate our ribs 180 degrees. Again, just for consistency of the cook, make sure you get the back side that you didn't get with that spray butter. And that's it. We're gonna put them back in for about another hour, and then they'll be ready to wrap. It's been 2 hours on our Prairie Fresh USA Prime baby back ribs in our 270 KC. It's now time to go ahead and get them wrapped. I've gone ahead, I got 2 racks today, so I've gone ahead and laid out 4 sheets of foil. I find it's easiest to do this. And we're gonna go ahead and get this first one set up and ready before we pull the meat out. We're gonna start off with just a little bit of squeezed butter, a little parquet. And what I'm gonna do when I take them out, I'm gonna put the meat side down. So we're just gonna create a little bit of a bed here for all the stuff to go on. And we'll just go right on top, just like that. Now I'm going to take a little bit of a Mike's Hot Honey. This has got some sweet heat. Really love it on ribs. If you've watched some of our other videos, you'll know that we use this on other items as well. So be sure to check out some of our other videos below. But we'll go ahead and just put a healthy portion of that there. Now we're going to take just a little bit of Blues Hog Tennessee Red. This is a lighter, thinner, a little bit vinegary sauce that Blues Hog makes that I just absolutely love. And we're just gonna put a little bit of that kind of right down the middle there. We don't wanna get too much liquid in here because we're not trying to lose any great flavor. So be careful not to put too much. And then we're just put a little granulated brown sugar. I prefer using this for competition because I find I have better control in terms of how much sugar I'm putting on something. So we got all that ready here. We're ready to take out these ribs. Let's go ahead and pull them out. Oh, these ribs look gorgeous. We are seeing a split where there was that fat line on top, but that's okay. It's not gonna make that much of a difference at the end. So let's go ahead and take our first rack here, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna flip it right on top of all that. Now on the back side here, there's a key difference from our baby back ribs to our St. Louis ribs for competition. I am going to only put one thing on the back, and it's a little bit of tiger sauce. This is a sweet chili sauce. It's just got a little bit of sweet heat, and I'm not gonna put very much. I'm just gonna just drizzle a little bit across the back here. And this is just gonna add a little something to the tongues for the judges when they try it. So very light across the back, but that's it. I don't want too much liquid in here. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap these up. Now be careful with the way that these are shaped. It's very easy when you wrap to poke a hole in it. So be careful. And you wanna also, you can't go flat across because of the curved bone. So you gotta press that bone in to make sure you get down and around to hold it here. We don't want to, we basically are steaming, but if you let too much air in there, you're gonna get too much steam kind of build up. So carefully wrap it in, keep an eye where your bone is, wrap it up, bring it across, wrap it up. Oh, my glove is splitting. You don't want to split glove while you're handling hot food. And we're gonna go ahead and wrap it one more time, just to make sure it's tight. Again, watch those bones. Fold in, get it up and over. And we're gonna leave it meat side down into a new pan to go back into the smoker. All right, so let's do this again for the other one real quick. We're gonna go ahead and put down a layer of parquet, or squeezed butter of your choice. Some sweet heat from the Mike Hot Honey. It always helps to loosen these up by putting them on top of your smoker before you get ready to wrap to make them easier to work with. A little bit of our Tennessee Red. And the granulated brown sugar. Okay. Second rack of ribs. Looks so gorgeous. And just fold it right on top there. And just that little bit of sweet heat with this tiger sauce. Don't go crazy. Don't want too much. All right. Again, watch those corners. I see a rib sticking out on the end there. I'm pressing it down. Wrap it up. Nice and tight. Get that bend in the ribs. All right, and we're gonna put these back in now for 45 minutes. And in 45 minutes, we're gonna be checking for our target internal temperature today of 203 degrees in between the bones in the middle. So let's go ahead and put it right back into the smoker. It's been 45 minutes and I just took a peek. Our ribs are ready to sauce. So while those were going, I went ahead and I heated up on my stove a little bit of some Blues Hog Champions blend. This is my finishing sauce that I'm gonna use on my ribs today. This is a mixture of Blues Hog Original, the Tennessee Red, and the Smoky Mountain, all easily put into one for competitors. Really, really great finishing sauce, and it's gonna work lovely on these ribs. So let's go ahead and get them out and let me show you how to finish them off. Oh, yes. All right. So, first off, I'm going to just show you what I'm looking at and double check using my Thermapen. This is to make sure that I have the right temperature and tenderness that I want before I go ahead and start unwrapping these. We're searching for an internal temperature between the ribs of 203 degrees. And look at that, 202, 203, 204 right there between the ribs. 203, 204, perfect, okay? I know from experience that this temperature is a great temperature, but don't take my word for it. We're gonna go ahead and open it up. I'm gonna show you. So once we open it up, we're gonna start letting all that air in, so we gotta move quick. All right, and because of how these are wrapped, oh yeah, man, look at that. All right, so when I'm putting my probe in, I wanna make sure they're nice and tender. That's just beginning to sink. You can see how it's just beginning to sink down between the meat and drop down there. Oh, looks so good. Looks so good. I cannot wait. It's not going all the way through, but just beginning to fall right in the middle there. Those look fantastic. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and take my sauce here, my Blues Hog sauce, which I have nice and hot, so it's very workable. I'm gonna take my brush. I'm gonna go ahead and just start by painting the backs of my ribs. I'm gonna leave them right in the pan that they're in right now. Just makes my life easy. Okay. And the backs aren't blown out. It's beautiful. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead real quick, and while I got it here before I transfer and take that front side out, I'm gonna open up my other rack. Oh yeah, and this one's a little further done. You can see it by the bones beginning to blow out just a little bit. But again, we're sitting there at a beautiful 203, 204 degrees. That one's a little hotter, but it's definitely just a little more done. But that's okay, because at competition you want to give yourself options, you know. So this is giving us options. So we'll go ahead, take this, take our sauce, go ahead and paint it up and down the back. All right, we painted our sauce on the back sides. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a new pan. I'm going to take these ribs and I'm going to flip them out. Oh, you just feel the tenderness. Oh my gosh, look at that color. That beautiful mahogany red. Oh, I'm so excited. Let's turn this one over here too. Oh wow, those are two gorgeous looking racks of ribs. So let's go ahead, line them up inside the pan, and now we're just going to take our sauce and we're just going to lightly glaze the top here. Champion's Blend is a relatively thin sauce on the Blues Hog side, so you don't have to worry about thinning it out. You can if you'd like to with a little apple juice. Never can hurt. And you want to have a hot sauce so you're not leaving these giant brush strokes. It's a cool afternoon out here as I'm doing this demo, so the sauce is cooled down since I took it off. And they hopefully will just fade away as it sets on top as we put it back in the smoker. Oh man, the color here is just gorgeous. Gorgeous. Oh, I cannot wait. Let's try to get this one done. So beautiful. Look at that color and that sheen in the sunlight. That cherry wood really just brings out that mahogany color that's so great and wanted on ribs. All right, and just making sure we don't have too much sauce on top. Nice even coverage. Yes. All right. Let's go ahead and get these back in the smoke. All right, we're gonna put them back in the smoker now for about 10 minutes just to let the sauce set, and then we're ready to serve. Oh, so good. We'll see you in 10 minutes. It's been 10 minutes and I cannot wait to see these Prairie Fresh USA Prime baby back ribs. So let's go ahead and get them out of the smoker. Oh my gosh. These are candy red. Oh, these are absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So excited about these ribs. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is what you want your ribs to look like at competition. And too bad we're not competing today because somebody's going to miss out on trying some great, great food. So what we're going to do here, let's go ahead and start bringing the ribs. You can see how they're loose they are, and we can just bring them right over onto our cutting board. Now, your standard box is shown on my disposable cutting board right here is a 9x9, which is what you're going to present inside of. Now, one of the biggest differences between your baby back ribs and your St. Louis ribs is the St. Louis ribs have more meat in between the bones, while the baby back ribs have more meat on top of the bones. So that's going to change how we cut them and how we present them. So before I get too far into this here, I'm going to take a little bit more of my sauce, and I'm just going to paint it on my board because I'm going to flip these ribs over. And I need to flip them over because I need to be able to see what I'm cutting. Because there's so much meat on top, I can't see through the ribs like I could on a St. Louis rib. So I'm going to take my ribs and I'm going to carefully flip them over here. Now I can see between my bones. You can see how tight the bones are together, which makes it that much more challenging to present well. So one of the biggest differences in a turn-in with your baby back ribs is we're going to cut them into 2-bone segments. If you try to cut them single bones, they're too thin. The judge can't really get a good pull. This way, if you give them 2 bones, they can pull it apart, pull a bone out, and see where you really are. So usually, I leave off the end bones here. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my beautiful Wüsthof cutting knife here and just cut right through them. Man, that just cut like butter. And so this right here, this is kind of my tester piece. And man, you can just see the moisture glisten out of these ribs. They are gorgeous. They are gorgeous. So when I'm testing ribs, I got to test a piece from each rack. So let's go ahead and just take a bite. Oh my God. Look at that perfect bite. The bone didn't pull out, right to the bone. This rack is pretty darn perfect. So we're going to go ahead, move it back, and we'll double check, because again, you want to check all of your ribs. And I'm going to do the same thing. Take off that second bone, cut right through. It just cuts like butter. Oh man, and this one too, that moisture, just squeeze it. Oh, that moisture is coming right out of it. Don't ever squeeze your meat except when you're on YouTube, but it's fantastic to look at. Let's try this one. Now this one, great flavor, but it's a little tighter. You can see how that bone didn't come out. So if I have to choose between these 2 racks, I'm gonna have to go with my first rack. So we'll put this one back, and that'll be our snacks. So you gotta come up with 6 pieces for 6 judges. 1, 2, and it's gonna be tough out of this one because we don't have enough. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take 2 bone segments out of this one, cut right through, right between the bones. Nice big cuts. I hit the bone a little bit there, but never fear with this knife, we're all good. All right, we're getting towards the end, so we're getting to sections we don't necessarily want to use here. So I've got about, and unfortunately, this piece of bark pulled off. Good news is, I think I can fix that. Put it back on. Nope, maybe. We're gonna try and save it. But this is why we also put that butter on there, to try and keep that from happening. Yeah, I was able to save it, it's good. See if we can make it perfect in the box. But we're going to save these 3 bones here. But we basically have these ones right here, which all look fantastic, to go into the box together. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my second rack and I'm going to go down to the other side, and I'm going to start cutting and try and find the not as thick parts, see what cuts better for our other perfect presentation ribs. Man, they cut like butter though. A little thick, tough on that side there. But if I had to choose 3 and go with 3, that's pretty good right there. All right, so we're gonna put them together. All right, well, we want it to all keep it all looking uniform all the way across. And we know that these are our secondary ribs, so we're going to put those in the back of a box. And then these are our front ribs, so we're going to put those in the front of our box. So if we're presenting into a box, we're going to do something along this. 2 rows of 6. And this will all fit into a box. You just have to finagle it just a little bit very carefully and make sure you cut your garnish low. But that's it, folks. Thanks again for watching today. I hope you learned something great about baby back ribs. These are amazing, and you should definitely try them at home. I hope you take them out to the competition trail and let us know how you do in the comments below. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel, and then follow us on social media as well, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Smokecraft BBQ. Until next time, keep cooking.